This is a podcast from Torfaen Voluntary Alliance. Hello, I'm Patrick Downs. Welcome to Word from the Third, where we'll be taking a look at all the big stories and news from the third sector here in Torfaen. So on Word from the Third today, we're talking about advocacy. I've been joined by Davies and Chris Hooper. Chris, can you introduce yourself and explain what your role is with regard to advocacy, please?
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. I work for the Gwent Regional Partnership team. We supported the development of the joint commissioning strategy for Gwent. We've been helping to facilitate and develop that commissioning strategy, and have also supported the development of the Gwent Access to Advocacy helpline alongside DAF in Blaenau Gwent.
And obviously then to David, can you explain your role a little bit more?
Yeah, I work for the commissioning team in Blaenau Gwent Council. I'm part of our role as the lead authority in the basically advocacy strategy across Gwent. We work with the other teams to oversee what is a co-produced advocacy service. So we work with Caerphilly, Monmouthshire, Newport, Torfaen and Blaenau Gwent, as well as the Aneurin Bevan Health Authority, to basically, and all the citizen groups that are represented, to provide an advocacy service that works for everyone. And Blaenau Gwent just happens to be the local authority that oversees that and trying to coordinate it along with Chris's regional partnership team.
We've mentioned the word advocacy, but what exactly does advocacy mean?
Well, I'll take that one there. I suppose it's a wide-ranging subject, but it's for an advocate is someone who will just be there for you and to take your side and to represent you in some ways, I suppose, and to help you understand information, to look at your options and to make your own decisions. So sometimes you might need some support with that. It's not advice, because that's a very different thing. It's someone who will just make sure that your views and your feelings and your wishes are listened to.
The other question then following on from that, Chris, would be how can advocacy help?
Well, as Daff said, it's about somebody being there for you, taking your side and supporting you to have more voice, choice and control about decisions that might be being made that will affect you. So this can sometimes this can be done by a relative, or sometimes it can be done by a friend, but sometimes people won't. Sometimes people won't have those connections, and that person won't be the most appropriate person to be your advocate. And in those circumstances, you might need somebody who's independent, who's had the proper training, so a professional advocate. And so that's where the advocacy and the Gwent Access to Advocacy helpline comes in. We can help you to find the right advocate for you that's going to help you and to have your views and wishes heard and listened to.
Social Services and Wellbeing Act Wales, that has part to play around advocacy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So when the Act came in, it basically states that councils must give access to advocacy to the people that live in our local authorities in all areas across Wales. But obviously we're talking about Gwent and the Gwent Access to Advocacy, known as GATA service. So we must do that as a local authority. Whilst we must do it, we also should do it. And there's sort of a wider ranging amount of services that we want to do as well. So we want to do the independent professional advocacy, but we also want all different levels of advocacy and support available to people. So I think we'll come on to it, but the teams all work together to co-produce we call GATA, but it's a helpline that people can call when they want to access advocacy, and that's set up and funded by the Regional Integration Fund. So we come together again as teams to provide this helpline that people can call. I can say the number because that would be quite helpful: 0808 801 0566, and it's open Monday to Friday between 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock. People can go to the GATA website as well, which is gata.cymru, if people want to check that out.
Chris and David, thank you very much for joining us today.
Still, thanks for having us on.
And don't forget, if you want to contact TVA, Torfaen Voluntary Alliance, for anything regarding the third sector here in Torfaen, get in touch regarding funding, volunteering, any kind of support or governance. info@tvawales.org.uk. You can also find us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter @TVA Wales, or of course on the website. It's all there at tvawales.org.uk. This podcast is produced by TVA, Torfaen Voluntary Alliance.